Luke is standing over me, grasping a plated leather riding crop. He's wearing old, faded, ripped Levi's, and that's all. He flicks the crop slowly into his palm as he gazes down at me. He's smiling, triumphant. I cannot move. I'm naked and shackled, spread-eagled on a large four-poster bed. Reaching forward, he trails the tip of the crop from my forehead down the length of my nose so I can smell the leather and over my parted, panting lips. He pushes the tip into my mouth so I can taste the smooth, rich leather. "Suck," he commands in his voice. My mouth closes over the tip as I obey. "Enough," he snaps. I'm panting once more as he tugs the crop out of my mouth, trails it down and under my chin, on down my neck to the hollow in the base of my throat. He swirls it slowly then and continues to drag the tip down my body, along my sternum, between my breasts, over my torso, down to my navel. I'm panting, squirming, pulling against all my restraints that are biting into my wrists and ankles. He swirls the tip around my navel, then continues to trail the leather tip south, through my pubic hair into my clit. He flicks the crop and then hits my sweet spot with a sharp slap, and I come gloriously, shouting my release. Oh, you knew that wasn't really gonna happen. Not yet. It's chapter 14, for Christ's sake. If that happens now, what's fucking chapter 22 gonna be about? You know? Shit. You should have seen that coming. Alright. Abruptly, I awake, gasping for breath, covered in sweat and feeling the aftershocks of my orgasm. Holy hell, I'm completely disoriented. What the hell just happened? I'm in my bedroom alone. How? Why? I sit bolt upright. Shocked. Wow. It's morning. I glance at my alarm clock. 8 o'clock. I put my head in my hands. I didn't know I could dream sex. Was it something I ate? Perhaps the oysters in my internet research manifesting itself in my first wet dream. It's bewildering. I had no idea I could orgasm in my sleep. Kate is skipping around the kitchen when I stagger in. "Lynn, are you okay? You look odd. Is that Luke's jacket you're wearing?" "I'm fine." Damn, I should have checked in the mirror. I avoid her piercing green eyes. I'm still reeling from my morning's event. "Yes, this is Luke's jacket." She frowns. "Did you sleep?" "Not very well." I head for the kettle. "I need tea." "How is dinner?" So it begins. We had oysters, followed by cod. So I'd say it was fishy. Ugh, I hate oysters and don't want to know about the food. "How is Luke?" "What did you talk about?" "He was attentive." I pause. "What can I say? His HIV status is clear. He's heavily into roleplay, wants me to obey his every command. He hurt someone he tied into his bedroom ceiling, and he wanted to fuck me in the private dining room." Is that a good summary? I tried desperately to remember something from my encounter with Luke that I can discuss with Kate. He doesn't approve of Wanda." "Who does, Lynn? That's old news. Why are you being so coy? Give it up, girlfriend." "Okay, we talked about lots of things, you know, how fussy he is about food. Incidentally, he liked your dress." The kettle is boiled, so I make myself some tea. "Do you want tea? Would you like me to hear your speech for today?" "Yes, please. I worked on it last night over at Lila's. I'll go fetch it. And yes, I'd love some tea." Kate races out of the kitchen. Phew, Catherine Kavanagh, sidetracked. I slice a bagel and pop it in the toaster. I flush, remembering my very vivid dream. What on earth was that about? It's about fucking sex, dumbass. Last night I found it hard to sleep. My head was buzzing with various options. I'm so confused. Luke's idea of a relationship is more like a job offer. It has set hours, a job description, a rather harsh grievance procedure. It's not how I envisioned my first romance. But of course, it's Luke, and he doesn't do romance. If I tell him I want more, he may say no, and I could jeopardize what he's offered. And that is what concerns me most, because I don't want to lose him, but I'm not sure I have the stomach to be as submissive. Deep down, it's the canes and whips that put me off. I'm a physical coward, and I will go a long way to avoid pain. I think of my dream. Is that what it would be like? My inner goddess jumps up and down with cheerleading pom-poms shouting yes at me. Kate comes back into the kitchen with her laptop. I concentrate on my bagel and listen patiently as she runs through her valedictorian speech. I'm dressed and ready when Ray arrives. I open up the front door and he's standing on the porch in his ill-fitting suit. A warm surge of gratitude for and love for his uncomplicated man streaks through me, and I throw my arms around him in an uncharacteristic display of affection. He's taken aback, bemused. "Hey, Lynn, I'm pleased to see you too," he mutters as he hugs me. Sitting back, his hands on my shoulders. He looks me up and down, his brow furrowed. "You okay, kid?" "Of course, Daddy. Can't a girl be pleased to see her old man?" Well, she didn't say it like that, but that's how she said it in my head. He smiles, his dark eyes crinkled at the corners, and follows me into the living area. "You look good," he says. "This is Kate's dress. I glance down at my gray chiffon halter-neck dress. He frowns. "Where is Kate?" "She's gone to campus. She's giving a speech, so she has to be early." "Should we head on over?" Dad, we have a half an hour. Would you like some tea? And you can tell me how everyone in Montesano is getting along. How's the drive down? Ray pulls his car into the campus parking lot, and we follow the stream of humanity dotted with ubiquitous black and red gowns, heading towards the sports auditorium. Good luck, Lynn. You seem awfully nervous. Do you have to do anything? Holy crap, why is Ray picked today to be so observant? No, Dad, it's a big day. Yeah, my baby girl's gotten a degree. I'm proud of you, Lynn. Aw, thanks, Ray. Oh, I love this man. The sports auditorium is crowded. Ray is going to sit with the other parents and his well-wishers in the rake seating, while I may make my way to my seat. I'm wearing my black gown and my cap, and I feel protected by them. Anonymous. There's no one on the stage yet, but I can't seem to steady my nerves. My heart's pounding, my breathing is shallow. He's here somewhere. I wonder if Kate's talking to him, interrogating him maybe. I make my way to my seat amongst fellow students whose surnames also begin with an S, or T, because my last name is Tran. I am in the second row, affording me yet more anonymity. I glance behind me and spot Ray sat high up in the bleachers. I give him a wave. He self-consciously gives me a half wave, half salute back. I sit and wait. The auditorium fills quickly, and the buzz of excitement gets louder and louder. The row of seats in front fills. On either side of me, I'm joined by two girls who I don't know from a different faculty. They're obviously close friends and talk across me excitedly. At 11 precisely, the chancellor appears from behind the stage, followed by 3 vice-chancellors and then a senior professors, all decked out in their black and red regalia. We stand and applaud for the teaching staff. Some professors nod-wave, others look bored. Professor Collins, my tutor and my favorite teacher, looks like he's just fallen out of bed, as usual. Last on to the stage are Kate and Luke. Luke stands out in his bespoke gray suit, copper highlights glinting his hair under the auditorium lights. He looks so serious and self-contained. As he sits, he undoes his single-breasted jacket, and I glimpse his tie. Ah, fuck, it's that tie! I rub my wrists reflexively. I cannot take my eyes off him. His beauty is as distracting as ever, and he's wearing that tie on purpose, no doubt. I can feel my mouth press into a hard line. The audience sits down, and the applause ceases. Look at him! One of the girls beside me breathes enthusiastically to her friend. He's hot! I stiffen. I'm sure they're not talking about Professor Collins. Must be Luke Theophilus. Is he single? I bristle. I don't think so, I murmur. Oh, both girls look at me in surprise. I think he's gay, I mutter. What a shame, one of the girls groans. As the chancellor gets to his feet and kicks off the proceedings with his speech, I watch Luke subtly scanning the hall. I sink into my seat, hunching my shoulders, trying to make myself as inconspicuous as possible. I fail miserably as a second later his gray eyes find me. He stares at me, his face impassive, completely inscrutable. I squirm uncomfortably, hypnotized by his stares. I feel slow flush spread across my face. Unbidden, I recall my dream from this morning, and the muscles in my belly do the delectable clench thing. I inhale sharply. I can see the shadow of a smile across his lips, but it's fleeting. He briefly closes his eyes, and on opening them, resumes his indifferent expression. Following a swift glance up at the chancellor, he stares ahead, focusing on the Wazoo emblem hung above the entrance. He doesn't turn his eyes towards me. The chancellor drones on, and Luke still doesn't look at me. He just stares, fixed ahead. Why won't he look at me? Perhaps he changes his mind. A wave of unease washes over me. Perhaps walking out on him last night was the end for him too. He's bored of waiting for me to make up my mind. Oh no, I could have completely blown it. I remember his email last night. Maybe he's mad I haven't replied. Suddenly, the room erupts into applause as Miss Catherine Kavanagh has taken the stage. The chancellor sits, and Kate tosses her lovely long hair behind her as she places her papers on the lectern. She takes her time, not intimidated by 1,000 people gawping at her. She smiles when she's ready, looks up at the captivated throng, and launches eloquently into her speech. She's so composed and funny, the girls beside me erupt on cue at her first joke. Oh, Catherine Kavanagh, you can deliver a good line. I feel so proud of her at that moment. My errant thoughts of Luke are pushed to one side. Even though I've heard the speech before, I listen carefully. She commands the room and takes her audience with her. Her theme is, what next after college? Oh, what next indeed. Luke is watching Kate, his eyebrows slightly raised, in surprise, I think. Yes, it could have been Kate that went to interview him, and it could have been Kate that is now making indecent proposals to. Beautiful Kate and beautiful Luke together. It would be like the two girls beside me, admiring him from afar. I know Kate wouldn't have given him the time of day. What did she call him the other day? Creepy. The thought of a confrontation between Kate and Luke makes me uncomfortable. I have to say, I don't know which one of them I'd put my money on. Kate concludes her speech with a flourish, and spontaneously everyone stands applauding and cheering. Her first standing ovation. I beam at her and cheer, and she grins back at me. Good job, Kate. She sits, as does the audience, and the Chancellor rises and introduces Luke. Holy shit, Luke's gonna give a speech. The Chancellor touches briefly on Luke's achievements, CEO of his own extraordinarily successful company, and a real self-made man. Please welcome Mr. Luke Theophilus. The Chancellor pumps Luke's hand, and there's a swell of polite applause. My heart's in my throat. He approaches the lectern and surveys the hall. He looks so confident standing in front of us all, as Kate did before him. The two girls beside me lean in, enraptured. In fact, I think most of the female members of the audience inch closer, and a few of the men. He begins, his voice soft, measured, and mesmerizing. I'm profoundly grateful and touched by the great compliment accorded to me by the authorities of Wazoo today. It offers me a rare opportunity to talk about the impressive work of the Environmental Science Department here at the university. Our aim is to develop viable and ecologically sustainable methods of farming for third world countries. Our ultimate goal is to help eradicate hunger and poverty across the globe. Over 1 billion people, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, Latin America, live in abject poverty. Agricultural dysfunction is rife within these parts of the world, and the result is ecological and social destruction. I have known what it's like to be profoundly hungry. This is a very personal journey for me. My jaw drops to the floor. What? Luke was hungry once? Holy crap. Well, that explains a great deal. And I do recall the interview. He really does want to feed the world. I desperately rack my brains to remember what Kate had written in her article. Adopted at age 4, I think. I can't imagine that Grace starved him, so it must have been before then, as a little boy. I swallow, my heart constricting at the thought of a hungry, gray-eyed toddler. Oh no, what kind of life did he have before the Theophiluses got a hold of him and rescued him? I'm seized by a sense of raw outrage. Poor, fucked up, kinky, philanthropic Luke. Though I'm sure he wouldn't see himself this way, and would repel any thoughts of sympathy or pity. Abruptly, everyone bursts into applause and stands. I follow, though I haven't heard half his speech. He's doing all these good works, running a huge company, and chasing me at the same time. It's overwhelming. I remember the brief snippets of conversations he's had about Darfur. It all falls into place. Food. He smiles briefly at the warm applause, even Kate's clapping. Then he resumes his seat. He doesn't look my way, and I'm off kilter trying to assimilate this new information about him. One of the vice-chancellors rises, and we begin the long, tedious process of collecting our degrees. There are over 400 to be given out, and it takes just over an hour before I hear my name. I make my way up to the stage between the two giggling girls. Luke gazes down at me, his gaze warm but guarded. Congratulations, Miss Tran, he says as he shakes my hand, squeezing it gently. I feel the charge of his flesh on mine. Do you have a problem with your laptop? I frown as he hands my degree. No. Then you are ignoring my emails. I only saw the mergers and acquisitions one. He looks quizzically at me. Later, he says, and I have to move on because I'm holding up the line. I go back to my seat. Emails? He must have sent another. What did it say? The ceremony takes another hour to conclude. It's interminable. Finally, the Chancellor leads the faculty members off the stage to yet more rousing applause, preceded by Luke and Kate. Luke does not glance at me, even though I'm willing him to do it. My inner goddess is not pleased. As I stand and wait for our row to disperse, Kate calls to me. She's headed my way from behind the stage. Luke wants to talk to you, she shouts. The two girls who are now standing beside me turn to gape at me. He sent me out here, she continues. Oh. Your speech was great, Kate. It was, wasn't it? She beams. Are you coming? He can be very insistent. She rolls her eyes and I grin. You have no idea. I can't leave Ray for long. I glance up at Ray and hold my fingers indicating 5 minutes. He nods, giving me an okay sign, and I follow Kate into the corridor behind the stage. Luke is talking to the Chancellor and the two of the teaching staff. He looks up when he sees me. Excuse me, gentlemen, I hear him murmur. He comes toward me and smiles briefly at Kate. Thank you, he says, and before she can reply, he takes my elbow and steers me to what looks like a men's locker room. He checks to see if it's empty and then locks the door. Holy shit, what does he have in mind? I blink up at him as he turns me on. Why haven't you emailed me or texted me back? He glares. I'm nonplussed. I haven't had the time to look at my computer or my phone. Fuck, has he been trying to call? I try my distraction technique that's so effective on Kate. That was a great speech. Thank you. Explains your food issues to me. He runs his hand through his hair, exasperated. Lynn, I don't want to go there at the moment. He closes his eyes, looking pained. I've been worried about you. Worried? Why? Because you went home in that death trap you call a car. What? It's not a death trap. It's fine. Jose regularly services it for me. Jose, the photographer? Luke's eyes narrow, his face frosting. Oh, crap. Yes, the Beetle used to belong to his mother. Yes, and probably her mother and her mother before her. It's not safe. I've been driving it for over 3 years. I'm sorry you were worried. Why didn't you call? Jeez, he's completely overreacting. He takes a deep breath. Lynn, I need an answer from you. This waiting around is driving me crazy. Luke, I left my stepdad on his own. Tomorrow. I want an answer by tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. I'll tell you then. He steps back, regarding me coolly, his shoulders relax. Are you staying for drinks? He asks. I don't know what Ray wants to do. Your stepfather? I'd like to meet him. Oh no, why? I'm not sure that's a good idea. Christian unlocks the door, his mouth in a grim line. Are you ashamed of me? No! It's my turn to sound exasperated. Introduce you to my dad as what? This is the man who deflowered me and wants to start a BDSM relationship? You're not wearing running shoes. Christian glares down at me, and then his lips twitch up in a smile, and in spite of the fact I'm mad at him, my face is unwillingly pulled into an answering grin. Just so you know, I can run quite fast. Just tell him I'm your friend, Lynn. He opens the door and I head out. My mind's whirling. The Chancellor, the 3 Vice-Chancellors, 4 professors, and Kate stare at me as I walk hastily past them. Fuck. Leaving Luke with the faculty, I go in search of Ray. Tell him I'm your friend. Friends with benefits, my subconscious scowls. I know. I shake the unpleasant thought away. How will I introduce him to Ray? The hall is still at least half full, and Ray has not moved from his spot. He sees me, waves, and makes his way down. Hey, Lynn, congratulations. He puts his arm around me. Would you like to come and have a drink in the marquee? Sure, it's your day. Lead the way. We don't have to if you don't want to. Please say no. Lynn, I've just sat for 2.5 hours listening to all kinds of jabbering. I need a drink. I put my arm through his, and we stroll out with the throng in the warmth of the early afternoon. We pass the line for the official photographer. Oh, that reminds me. Ray drags the digital camera out of his pocket. One for the album, Lynn. I roll my eyes at him, and he snaps a picture of me. Can I take the cap and gown off now? I feel kind of dorky. You look kind of dorky. My subconscious is at her snarky best. So are you going to introduce Ray to the man you're fucking? She's glaring at me over at her wing-shaped spectacles. He'd be so proud. God, I hate her sometimes. The marquee is immense and crowded. Students, parents, teachers, and friends all chattering happily. Ray hands me a glass of champagne or cheap fizzy wine, I suspect. It's not chilled, and it tastes sweet. My thoughts turn to Luke. He won't like this. Lynn! I turn, and Ethan Kavanaugh scoops me into his arms. He twirls me around, pulling, without spilling my wine, some feet. Congratulations, he beams down at me, green eyes twinkling. What a surprise. His dirty blonde hair, tousled and sexy looking. He's beautiful, just like Kate. The family resemblance is striking. Wow, Ethan, how lovely to see you. Dad, this is Ethan, Kate's brother. Ethan, this is my dad, Ray Steele. Ray Tran. They shake hands, and my dad coolly is assessing Mr. Kavanaugh. When did you get back from Europe? I ask. I've been back for a week, but I wanted to surprise my little sister, he says conspiratorially. That's so sweet, I grin up at him. She is valedictorian, I couldn't miss that. He looks immensely proud of his sister. She gave a great speech. That she did, Ray agrees. Ethan has his arm around my waist when I look up to the frosty gray eyes of Luke Theophilus. Kate is beside him. Hello, Ray. Kate kisses Ray on both cheeks, making him blush. Have you met Lynn's boyfriend, Luke Theophilus? Holy shit, Kate. Fuck you, you bitch. I hate you. All the blood drains from my face. Ah, Mr. Tran, it's a pleasure to meet you, Luke says smoothly, warmly, completely unflustered by Kate's introduction. He holds out his hand, which, all credit to Ray, Ray takes, not showing a hint of the drop-dead surprise he'd just been thrust on. Thank you very much, Catherine Kavanaugh, I fume. I think my subconscious has fainted. Mr. Theophilus, Ray murmurs, his expression indecipherable, except perhaps for the slight widening of his big brown eyes. They slide over my face with a "when were you going to give me this" look. I bite my lip. And this is my brother, Ethan Kavanaugh, he says Kate to Luke. Luke turns his arctic glare on Ethan, who still has one arm around me. Mr. Kavanaugh. They shake hands. Luke holds his hand. God, it's so fucking confusing. Sorry. Luke holds his hand out to me. Lynn, baby, he murmurs, and I nearly expire at the endearment. I walk out of Ethan's grasp while Luke smiles icily at him, and I take my place at his side. Kate grins at me. She knows exactly what she's doing, the vixen. Ethan, Mom and Dad wanted a word. Kate drags Ethan away. So how long have you kids known each other? Ray looks impassively from Luke to me. The power of speech has deserted me. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. Luke puts his arm around me, his thumb skimming my naked back in a caress before his hand clasps my shoulder. A couple of weeks or so now, he says smoothly. We met when Lynn came to interview me for the student magazine. Didn't know you worked on the student magazine, Lynn. Ray's voice is a quiet admonishment, revealing his irritation. Shit. Kate was ill, I murmur. That's all I can manage. Fine speech you gave, Mr. Theophilus. Thank you, sir. I understand that you've been a keen fisherman. Ray raises an eyebrow and smiles, a rare, genuine, bona fide Ray Tran smile, and off they go, talking fish. In fact, I soon feel surplus to requirements. He's charming the pants off my dad, like he did you, my subconscious snaps at me. His power knows no bounds. I excuse myself to go find Kate. She's talking to her parents, who are delightful as ever to greet me warmly. We exchange brief pleasantries, mostly about their up-and-coming holiday to Barbados and about our move. Kate, how could you out me to Ray? I hiss at the first opportunity. We won't be overheard. Because I knew you never would, and I wanted to help with Luke's commitment issues. Kate smiles at me sweetly. I scowl. It's not that he won't commit to him. It's me that won't commit to him, silly. He seems trays cool about it, Lynn. Don't sweat it. Look at him now. Luke cannot take his eyes off you. I glance up, and both Ray and Luke are looking at me. He's been watching you like a hawk. I'd better go rescue Ray or Luke. I don't know which. You haven't heard the last of this, Catherine Kavanaugh. I glare at her. Lynn, I did you a favor, she calls after me. Hi, I smile at both of them on my return. They seem okay. Luke is enjoying some private joke. My dad looks unbelievably relaxed, given he's in a social situation. What have they been discussing apart from fish? Lynn, where are the restrooms? Back out front to the marquee and to the left. See you in a moment. You kids enjoy yourselves. Ray heads out. I glance nervously up at Luke. We pause briefly as a photographer takes a picture of both of us. Thank you, Mr. Theophilus. The photographer scurries off. I blink from the flash. So you've charmed my father as well. As well? Luke's gray eyes burn. He raises a questioning eyebrow. I flush. He lifts his hand and traces my cheek with his fingers. Oh, I wish I knew what you were thinking, Lynn, he whispers darkly, cupping my chin and raising my head so that we gaze into each other's eyes. My breath hitches. How can he have this effect on me, even in this crowded tent? Right now, I'm thinking, nice tie, I breathe. He chuckles. It's recently become my favorite. I blush scarlet. You look lovely, Lynn, and this halter neck dress suits you. I get to stroke your back and feel your beautiful skin. Suddenly, it's like we're on our own in the room, just the two of us. My whole body's come alive, every nerve ending singing softly, the electricity pulling me to him, charging between us. You know it's gonna be good, don't you, baby? He whispers. I close my eyes as my insides uncoil and melt. But I want more, I whisper. More? He looks down at me, puzzled, his eyes darkening. I nod and swallow. Now he knows. More, he says again softly, testing the word, a small, simple word, but so full of promise. His thumb traces over my lower lip. You want hearts and flowers. I nod again. He blinks down at me, and I watch his internal struggle played out in his eyes. Lynn, his voice is soft. It's not something I know. Me neither. He smiles slightly. You don't know much, he murmurs. You know all the wrong things. Wrong? Not to me, he shakes his head. He looks so sincere. Try it, he whispers. A challenge, daring me, and he cocks his head to one side and smiles his crooked, dazzling smile. I gasp, and I'm Eve in the Garden of Eden, and he's the serpent, and I cannot resist. Okay, I whisper. What? I have his full, undivided attention. I swallow. Okay, I'll try. You're agreeing? His disbelief is evident. Subject to the soft limits, yes, I'll try. My voice is so small. Luke closes his eyes and pulls me into an embrace. Jesus, Lynn, you're so unexpected. You take my breath away. He steps back. Suddenly, Ray's return, and the volume in the marquee gradually rises and fills my ears. We're not alone. Holy shit, I've just agreed to be his sub. Luke smiles at Ray, and his eyes are dancing with joy. Lynn, should we get some lunch? Okay. I blink up at Ray, trying to find my equilibrium. What have you done? My subconscious screams at me. My inner goddess looks like it's doing a backflip in a routine worthy of a Russian Olympic gymnast. Would you like to join us, Luke? Ray asks. Luke? I stare up at him, imploring him to refuse. I need space to think. What the fuck have I done? Thank you, Mr. Tran, but I have plans. It's been great to meet you, sir. Likewise, Ray responds. Look after my baby girl. Oh, I fully intend to, Mr. Tran. They shake hands. I feel sick. Ray has no idea how Luke intends to look after me. Luke takes my hand and raises it to his lips and kisses my knuckles tenderly, his scorching eyes intent on mine. Later, Miss Tran, he breathes, his voice full of promise. My belly curls at the thought. Oh my, hang on. Later? Ray takes my elbow and leads me toward the entrance to the tent. Seems like a solid young man. Well off, too. You could do a lot worse, Lynn. Though, why I had to hear about him from Catherine, he scolds. I shrug apologetically. Well, any man who likes and knows his fly fishing is okay with me. Holy cow, Ray approves? If only he knew. Ray drops me back at the house at dusk. Call your mom, he says. I will. Thanks for coming, Dad. Wouldn't have missed it for the world, Lynn. You make me so proud. Oh no, I'm not gonna get emotional. A huge lump forms in my throat, and I hug him hard. He puts his arm around me, bemused, and I can't help it. Tears pool in my eyes. Hey, Lynn, sweetheart, Ray croons. Big old day, huh? Want me to come in and make you some tea? I laugh in spite of my tears. Tea is always the answer, according to Ray. I remember my mother complaining about him saying that when it came to tea and sympathy, he was always good at tea, not so hot on sympathy. No, Dad, I'm good. It's been great to see you. I'll visit you real soon once I'm settled in Seattle. Good luck with the interviews. Let me know how they go. Sure thing, Dad. Love you, Lynn. Love you too, Dad. He smiles, his brown eyes warm, glowing. He climbs back into his car. I wave at him as he drives off into the dusk, and I wander listlessly back into the apartment. First thing I do is check my cell phone. It needs recharging, so I have to hunt down the charger and plug it in before I can collect my messages. 4 missed calls, 1 voice message, and 2 texts. 3 missed calls from Luke, no messages. 1 missed call from Jose, and a voicemail wishing him all the best for graduation. I open the text. Are you home safe? Call me. They are both from Luke. Why didn't he call the house? I head into my bedroom and fire up the mean machine. From Luke Theophilus, subject, tonight, to Lynn Tran. I hope you made it home in that car of yours. Let me know if you're okay. Signed, Luke. Jeez, why is he so worried about my Beetle? It's given me 3 years of loyal service, and Jose has always been on hand to maintain it for me. Luke's next email is from today. To Lynn Tran, subject, soft limits. What can I say that I haven't already? Happy to talk through these anytime. You look beautiful today. Signed, Luke. I want to see him. I hit reply. From Lynn, subject, soft limits, to Luke. I can come over this evening to discuss if you'd like. Signed, Lynn. From Luke Theophilus, subject, soft limits, to Lynn Tran. I'll come to you. I meant it when I said I wasn't happy about you driving that car. I'll be with you shortly. Signed, Luke. Fuck, he's coming over now? I have to get one thing ready for him. The first edition Thomas Hardy books are still on the shelves in the living room. I can't keep those. I wrap them in brown paper and I scrawl on the wrapping a direct quote from Tess from the book. I agree to the conditions, Angel, because you know best what my punishment ought to be. Only don't make it more than I can bear.